Hello and welcome to another episode of On Lookout. In this week's episode, we're looking at a few players in the NBA that maybe aren't getting talked about as much, sort of are going where they ain't at the moment, and we'll see sort of their card data for the last year, because we've sort of got playoffs to playoffs and opportunities. Some people aren't in the playoffs, so people aren't talking about them, so there's an opportunity there to make some money. We'll see if the cards have dipped, if there's a chance to pick them up now and make money in the future if you believe in these players. There's also a player that's in the playoffs but has a few injury issues. So we'll look into his data, see if any times you can buy and look at performance spikes, or if the hype cycle is there and you can sort of buy low and sell at a high. But without further ado, let's get into this data from marketmoversapp.com. And again, if you want this data and more at your fingertips, head over to marketmoversapp.com, use the code Mahomes, MAHOMES, for a 14-day free trial and 20% off any package you choose for life. I use this data for obviously stuff like this and also to help me make the plays whether it's for a personal collection or for investment purposes. So I do recommend it. But without further ado, let's get into the data. So we're going to start with Ja Morant. We have his 2019 Prism number 249 Silver. We have it in Raw, PSA 9 and a PSA 10. We also have this 2019 Optic number 168 Hollow, again Raw, PSA 9 and PSA 10. And that'll be the theme across all the cards today. Some cards that sort of are common but not overly common, not like the base, and still sort of sought after. As you can see, his all-time data here, there's been a big hype. You look at the PSA 10 Prism there of what, $5,000. Obviously we went a lot more about this last year, even though it's down so much, and it's still down on the year 44%. Do I think this card goes back up to like a $400 card? 100% I do. I think Ja Morant is a baller. As long as he keeps out of controversy, keeps out healthy, this guy is a certified baller. As you can see there, you're looking at what, August, September time, these prices are a lot higher than they are now. Again, he's not being talked about. It could be a good time. He's on a downward trajectory at the moment for that PSA 10 silver. Definitely worth picking up if you can pick one up for that sort of price. The PSA 9 and the Raw are interesting just because the price disparity. So if you're getting a Raw, you are hoping for a 10 really, because a 9 you're going to lose money with grading fees, shipping, etc. PSA 9 is down 14% on the year. Are we going to turn down 40% profit on things? Obviously not. I just think it might be a bit harder with that to get that profit back. Will it go back up to a $90 card? I don't know. Pop already 2,878 compared to PSA 10. It will pop 1,757. So I think the PSA 10 is a safer bet here. Something I've been looking to do myself. When we go into the Hollow, for instance, as you can see with the 10, down 21%, $110. Will that card go back up to 200? It possibly could. It's possibly just 652. I think you could easily get to the 160, 175 area. Again with the 9, look at the 9 and the Raw, currently at the same price. If you could become 9 for $24, I'd recommend that. Pop of less than 1,000. It's the same price as Raw. Could that card go up to $40? It quite possibly could. It quite possibly. There's such a low pop on it. It's a very good play there. But I think the best play here is the PSA 10 Silver Prism. I know it's not got the biggest deficit. I think the biggest deficit is the Hollow Raw, down 52%. But again, with grading fees, if that comes back in 9, you'll be in the bad zone there. So I'd recommend. Well, I wouldn't recommend, but I'd say here the PSA 10 is possibly your safest bet here to make some money. And if this is purely for your PC, now looks like a great time to buy Ja Morant cards, with them being down anywhere from 66%, which is crazy. Next up, Victor Wembanyama. Again, PSA 10, Prism Silver, and then obviously the PSA 9 and Raw, all in Prism Silvers, which is number 136, and then his Optic Hollow, number 225, PSA 10, PSA 9 and Raw. As you can see, all-time data, some cards are down 81%. We're going to look year to year again, so 365 days, just for playoff to playoff sort of scenario. Again, that Hollow is still down 81%. Again, for what, $7 more, you get PSA 9. which is down 77% at the moment. Nice play. Could that get to $100 card easily? I think. You're looking at the silver Prism, which is interesting. The PSA 9 is $74 less than the raw, which is crazy. I think that is something worth looking into, not only for a collection but also from an investment point of view. Yes, has a pop over 2,000, but could a PSA 9 of his Prism Silver get to a sort of a 374 area? I think it could. It's the price of raw. I don't see why it shouldn't be. It should obviously be more than a raw. So I think that could be a play, and also a good time to buy if you want a Victor Wembanyama for your collection. As you can see, the PSA 10 is down $730. Down to $730, down 32%. Again, look at this card. Even in the last year for the playoffs, it was $1,000 area. Do I think this card could be back up there 1,000? 100% with his height behind him and him coming back from his injury. This card should go up to a $1,000 card after put it out that area. So there's still money to be made in Victor. They're probably the best. So I mean, the PSA 10 of his Optic Hollow, that is down 63%. Could his PSA 10 go down from 250? Could that go back up to a 350 card? $400 card? It's already down 63%. So I think there's money to be made in Victor, especially with the hype of the new season, going back from injury, and if he can, take his team, if he can come back the same guy and take his team to sort of the playoffs this time next year, we could be looking at. And next up, Paolo Banchero again. His Prism Silver is in number 249 in the PSA 10, PSA 9, and Raw. We have his Optic Hollow, number 221 in a PSA 10, PSA 9, and Raw. Again, all data for him is pretty much a 365. So we go straight to it year to year. Obviously, he was in the playoffs, just got beat by the Celtics. So you can see his Hollow Raw is up 235%. Because he did play okay in the playoffs, but it's someone that still has room. I don't think he's as safe a bet as the other ones. As you can see, his PSA 10 is down only 1% on the year because he's still kind of relevant. This is recording literally the Knicks just beat Detroit like 6 hours ago. So this may come down these next few months, and then it may be looking into then. But at the moment, I'd say Paolo is probably someone that, unless you can get a deal below this, probably worth. And then last but not least, Chet Holmgren, again, someone else who's currently in, team are playing well, but has his injury problems. So again, here's all the data. You can see big hype when it always comes out. But down again, another little spike towards sort of October last year. Again, look at that PSA 10. It's still down 32%. The 9 is down 62%. Again, we're going to do year for year. We're looking at playoff to playoff sort of scenario. So the PSA 10 is down 16%, but the PSA 9 is down 54% to $21.50, which I think is a bargain when you look at Raw, which is, 75 cents less. Again, with the Hollow, the PSA 10 is down to 45%, so $64. The Hollow 9 is $15, whereas Raw is $15.11. So it still plays there. I think Chet is a very good player. I think OKC will go far. It's just interesting that even with him playing, the needle's not moving too much. Maybe it's down to the fan base of OKC, but a very interesting one to look out for. Maybe there's opportunities there, around the PSA 10s for sure, especially with the big drop in the Hollow with 45% down. Could that go back up to $80, $90? Quite possibly. But I think Thunder would have to do something special for that. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, looking into the data and looking into sort of plays that can be made, and I hope it was useful. So, until next time, I'll see you guys soon.